Thanks for joining us. Today I'm speaking to Andrew McLellan, who is the Managing Director of Bluechiip Limited. Good to talk to you, Andrew.
Nice to meet you.
Indeed. Now let's talk about the technology that you are focused on, because it has got a particular niche when it comes to the life science segment. And tell us what's particularly unique about it.
Yeah, so look, we have a technology which is a Bluechiip chip, which is a very small millimetre by millimetre by millimetre silicon cube. And within that chip it has 52 beams. And the best way I describe it is it's like a piano, and all of those beams are different lengths. So when you play those keys, they respond at a different frequency. And that actually gives you, then we turn that on or off at the point of manufacture, and it gives you a 1 or a 0. And that's hugely unique in that it actually survives and operates down in liquid nitrogen conditions. You can hit it with sterilisation or radiation. We've actually put one in the synchrotron beam line for 24 hours and it still operates and works. And because of that, it works in liquid nitrogen or minus 80 degrees, and we can actually sense the temperature. So as that frequency shifts with the temperature change, we also pick up the temperature.
Indeed, so there's some stunning science behind this technology. So who are the people that are most interested in buying this sort of technology for their daily uses?
So the application space that we're targeting from the outset, and there's very broad markets for the technology, but the primary market we're serving is the biopreservation space. And the biopreservation space is where you're storing blood and plasma, or IVF samples, egg and sperm, or other genetic materials or molecules in very low temperatures. So basically deactivating them so they can be stored for a long period of time.
And so for them to maintain their utility, you have got to make sure that the integrity of the storage environment's been maintained.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what happens in those environments at the moment is they put a handwritten label, or they put a barcode label on the samples. But in those low temperatures, when you pull the sample out, you either get frost on it, or the labels might peel off, or they become detached. And because we can actually read in liquid nitrogen, when you pull that out, we can read through frost. And it's wireless technology that allows the ID to be read through frost and identify the sample, and also identify the temperature of the sample, which is especially important.
Okay, so it's taken a while for customers to understand the intrinsic value of this product. Why has it taken them so long?
Yeah, so look, Bluechiip changed strategy about 3 years ago. So Bluechiip has been around for quite some time. 2011 we listed, and the original strategy for the business was embedding our chips into our own tubes and taking those tubes to market ourselves. Or the consumables to market ourselves. That was not overly successful. So when myself and one of the other directors got involved in the business 3 years ago, we changed that strategy up and went with what we're calling an OEM strategy. So we go and talk to the global
original equipment manufacturer.
OEM partners. So we go and talk to the large incumbent manufacturers and distributors of the consumables. So 300 million tubes go into storage a year, and they're supplied by the current vendors.
You said that quickly, 300 million tubes, each of which could potentially have one of your chips on it.
Correct. So there's a very large market, and it's a growing market. So as the genetic investment in genetic technologies and cellular therapies and those type of, and even in the research into molecules grows, it's growing quite rapidly.
Indeed. So obviously the addressable market is substantial in size, and the tweaking of your strategy is beginning to pay dividends. Tell us how.
Yeah, so look, it does take a little bit of time for those partnerships to come through. So LabCon North America is probably is our most progressed. We started discussion with LabCon with an initial discussion, an NDA, back in mid-2016. We signed a licensing agreement in 2017, which included some license revenue. And then in December 2017, LabCon placed their first standing order for delivery of chips and readers of over $1 million. And that's really just a starting order for them to progress into the marketplace. So for us, that's very exciting. We're now delivering chips on a monthly basis to a standing order, to a leading player. $1 million is not where they're going to finish. The market size is a lot bigger. So that's progressing very well. We sell what we call a developer kit. So each of the partnership discussions we have, we start really with a discussion, sign an NDA, and when they've got some interest, we sell what we call a developer kit, which allows our partner to kick the tires on the technology, do their due diligence, test it, and we're actually quite quite excited by the ability to actually provide that and say, hey, don't believe us that it works, just you test it, you validate it for yourself.
And then whatever the specific needs they might have, you might be able to tweak the technology.
Yeah, we tweak it, we customise it, put it into play into their products. So we're talking to blood bag manufacturers, we're talking to the companies that have tubes, we're talking to automation suppliers, and there's a whole range of businesses. So to date, we've now sold 21 developer kits. So that's an indication of the number of people we're talking to. If you wind that back to 2.5 years ago, we'd sold none. So it's progressing. So they do take a little bit of time to come through, but we do have a lot of pipeline development in works.
So where do you see the tipping point, Andrew, being in the next couple of years in terms of the technology?
So in terms of the technology is use, and getting key opinion leaders and end users out there in the marketplace actually using it in their facilities. And we've now got the infrastructure. We're right at the final stages of getting that full infrastructure being in place for them to use. Partners like LabCon take that to market, and others. We've got a license agreement with Geneo Biomedics, who's a Sydney-based company, and we've also got a partnership with Planet Innovation. So the tipping point is really when these products start to go to the market. So LabCon has tooled their tubes, they're now in production, and they're moving towards a more formal launch over the next few months in North America. So it's a hugely exciting time for us.
Indeed, and we look forward to following the story with you. Thanks for your time.
Great, thank you very much.
And thanks for joining us.